Well, here with us today is Ryleigh Black, and she's into the paranormal. We are happy to welcome another guest who deals with the paranormal. Ryleigh, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, like where you grew up and what led you on the path of the paranormal?
Well, I was born in California and I spent a lot of my time out west in the western states like Arizona and New Mexico. And then my family moved out east to Pennsylvania and New England, but I love the southern states. So I pretty much stayed down there and then I made my way to Pennsylvania. I've been doing paranormal studies for over 20 years, I would say about 25 years now. And it has brought a lot of interesting people into my life. I gotta say that. I started doing paranormal activity research when I was in my 20s because in my mother's religion, she's Russian Orthodox. They're very stern when it comes to anything outside of the Bible. You know, they don't believe in the afterlife. As spirits go, still walk the earth. They think that that's a no. They should all go to heaven or go where they're supposed to go. And if you're interacting with them, then that's not right. So I wasn't really allowed to look at it in my teenage years, but when I had the opportunity, I went to the library and I read books about it. With Lorraine and Ed Warren, they were really big during my time, and they gave me an insight to what I was experiencing and what I was expecting. So at least I had some sort of knowledge to go on, because every time I bring it up to my mother, they would just tell me to go pray. They would say, you're not supposed to be messing with this stuff. Go say your prayers and you'll be okay. So in my 20s, I got scared really, really bad by a spirit that she made herself known because I was being a smart aleck. I didn't want to say that curse on air, but I said there was no such thing, really. And she made herself known to me at 3:00 in the morning, scared me so bad I ran out of the building. I would not go back in the building. And I never went back. So after that, I kind of gave it a little bit more of a respectable approach. Because if they can bother you while you're sleeping, they can sure bother you while you're awake. So I just wanted to be a little bit more nicer and how I was respecting the spirits. I didn't like poking the bear, you can say, when it comes to that, And then I really got into it back in 2011. I entered a photo in a contest, and then my friend entered it into another contest with the horror and all of the ghostly stuff, and I became a scream queen, and I was horror model of the year in 2014. So I had the opportunity to travel around the United States doing different Comic-Cons and horror events and different paranormal investigations, different television shows, movies, you name it. It just opened up the door for me, and it's been going like steady stream ever since. But I try not to look too much on the entertainment side of it all, because I really am interested more in the science of it all.
That's super interesting. And you had a radio show. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I did. I had a really popular radio show. It was called Club Para, the Para Lounge. And I was always wondering, like if people wanted to come to these events, but they couldn't afford to travel, they couldn't afford to fly to another state, to make it easier for them to be a part of this. I wanted to create something around the world that people could interact with the people they see on television and talk to them and ask them questions. And it was a very interesting show, and I interviewed a lot of paranormal teams, and a lot of them had all different aspects of how they investigated and how they did things, and I took a lot of their knowledge and I applied it to my own, and wow, the evidence is just unbelievable. So the radio show, I had everybody from Jason Hawes from Ghost Hunters on there. I had actors from different Supernatural, actors from Supernatural came on.
Cool.
They touched base with that. So everything, all the shows are on Blog Talk Radio. You just have to look up Blog Talk Radio and then type in Club Para, and then you'll see all of the hundreds of radio shows that we had did over the years.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
It was
Holy
fun.
cow.
I wanted to do it again, but what can you keep asking the same people over and over again, the same kind of questions, so I don't have anything new to say yet. So I haven't pulled it back out. I got onto the other level of writing now. So I'm really enjoying that. And I've been writing for a magazine called Haunted Magazine. They're from England. They're over across the pond. They're really nice guys. Excuse me. They do a lot of different places, haunted places out in England and around the United States. So they've been more expanding out our way, so which is really cool. I can't wait to submit some more stories to these guys and to get them out there so people can read them.
Yeah. Cool. Ryleigh, I had my own experiences with, some would call it the paranormal, but it didn't scare me. What's really freaking me out are EVPs. Do you have experience with that? Did you do your research on that too?
Well, one of my traits that I have, I actually went to school for sound engineering, but I didn't go follow through with that. I actually left that and went into the medical side of everything because there was just more money on that end. But I did have a chance to study a lot of audio software, and I use different software programs when I do all of my EVP work. Now, every software that's out there for audio is a good software. They're all really good. Each software, though, has different tools that you can use to amplify sound. What you don't really want to do is manipulate the sound of the EVP that you've collected, because once you've done that, you've contaminated your audio by manipulating it to make it louder. You don't want it louder. If you can't hear it without your headset, then nobody's going to understand what they're saying. And a lot of times when spirit activity is going on, EVPs are so faint that a dog could probably hear it, but we cannot. Do you know what I mean? It's just under our hearing. So we use the headsets and the recorders to amplify what we are hearing in real time. But if you have to, and you plug it in, you put it in your software, but if you have to manipulate it or slow it down or do something to alter the sound of it, you've contaminated your audio. So, and it's no good. So I have listened to thousands of hours over the years of audio. I've collected so much audio. And I tell people all the time, don't manipulate it. If you can listen to it without your headset through your software program on your laptop, then other people are going to be able to hear it very clearly themselves. And then you captured a Class A EVP. Now, the Class A, Class B, Class C, Class D, I don't know who came up with it. I really don't. I don't know who invented it, but people have been using it. So we'll use it in this aspect. Class A is a very clear EVP, like I'm talking to you right now. You know what I mean? You could hear me. I'm not whispering. I'm not muffled. I'm not anything. That's the normal range of hearing for a human. Now, a Class B is a little bit softer. You can barely hear the words, but you know that something's being said to you in the corner like this, but you just can't make it out. Class C and Class D are almost on the same level of manipulating the audio to make it louder. If you have to say, here, put this headset on because you won't be able to hear it without it, that's a Class C and a Class D. Would you be able to use it on your website or use it on a network with? No, because how many of you out there have headsets that you can plug in right away and listen to it, and they're good enough and loud enough to hear what you're playing? So I don't waste my time with the C and D ones. I do save them, but I don't mess around with that. Now, a lot of different locations have like the different spirits that haunt these different locations will interact with a man or a woman, depending. I have found that in my studies, women seem to get more interaction with spirit activity than a man would. I don't know why. Maybe it's like the motherly nature that a woman has, you know, the softness about them, the approachableness a woman has, that a man just does not, because they're more, you know, they're more a manly man. So I guess that's easier to approach a woman than it is a man. And we've actually tried different levels of communication that way. We would send a man in and say, okay, go ahead and see what you can capture. And we would send him in there for a good hour, you know, to a location. He'd come back, we'd go through his audio, nothing. We would send a woman in there and she would come back out after an hour and she would have more of a communication. Then one of our and I don't like doing this a lot. It's obviously up to the parents if they want to do it. I actually did it with my stepson and his father. So I always ask permission to do it. But my stepson and his dad actually went into a location because I wanted to see if a child would have better interaction with the spirits because they're closer to the grave. You know what I mean? They haven't been alive very long as a child. So they would probably have more of an interaction with the spirit than we would have because we've been alive 30, 40, 50 years. You know what I mean? So our sensitivity, our naiveness has been diminished. It's gone. Do you know what I mean? So we're more the ask questions first and then answer later, where the kids are always like, no, let's do it. Let's do it. You know, so they're more naive with that. So when my stepson went in there, it was like a whole different dynamic of spirit activity came out. All the children's like spirits. This was at Slater Mill, actually, in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, where children had died during the cotton mill process because there was child labor involved.
Right.
And that's next door. That's going to be in Haunted Magazine. And a lot of children died because they could not slow the machines down to get in there, to crawl underneath, to fix these teethy machines before it kicked back on or before it went into full gear. And a lot of children ended up getting hurt or lost a limb or whatever the case may be. And then so my stepson went in and he interacted with these children. He was playing with the ball across the floor with them. He was playing jacks on the floor. They weren't picking up the ball and throwing it and catching the jacks, you know what I mean? But they were sliding the jacks across the floor, just a hair, you know, just a little bit, just enough of a notice. And it was a lot of fun, but then you don't want to expose your child too much to something like that because then it's going to start to mess with them, you know? So that we just pulled them out and decided, you know, when you're old enough and you want to go back to do this, that's fine. But right now I don't want that to intermix with your brain being so young and being, this is so cool and thinking death is cool. And you know what I mean? You really can't do that until you're an adult.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But I did catch a lot of different audios.
Yeah. What is the most haunted house or area you've investigated?
Well, Slater Mill is definitely one of the most active places in Pawtucket, Rhode Island to investigate. They don't do paranormal activity or paranormal studies there anymore. It was just a lot of people were coming in and they were provoking the spirits. And like I said, when you send a woman in to do, you know, EVP work, sometimes the spirits interact differently, right? So at Slater Mill, when I would go in there, they don't want the male spirits, the foremen that are still there don't want women in the mill because they were afraid that women were going to take their job. They were afraid that the skirts were too long and they were going to get caught in the machines. The hair would get caught in the machines. They were just taunted by the men in a sexual way. You know what I mean? Like they had no respect for the women. So I went in there and I got scratched across my hip. I felt like I got slapped in the mouth, but I didn't. I just had a handprint across my face like this.
Wow.
So that was the really bad one. There's another place in Providence, Rhode Island. Now I lived there for quite some time, and it's one of the hauntest locations in the United States because it's the oldest part of the United States, New England. It was the first areas to be established, and then they made their way across the United States. So I went to this place. It was called North Burial Grounds. It's about 2 miles from my house, and there's over 35,000 people buried on 110 acres. Back in the day when tuberculosis was a thing, it killed off half the town of Providence. So the farmers had to donate their fields to build cemeteries to put all these bodies in. And they used it as also as a military cemetery with Yankee soldiers. And I'm Southern. And I went in there and I said, so I'm a Confederate soldier, which I shouldn't have did that. And I got pushed down a flight of stairs. And
Wow.
I held up my recorder like this. I'm like, why did you, or somebody said, did you push Ryleigh down the stairs? And this really nasty voice came across and was like, yes. I'm like, all right, fine. I'm not going to say I'm a Confederate soldier in a Union cemetery no more.
Damn.
You know?
Wow.
And then, you know, Gettysburg is very close to me, the battlefield.
Yeah.
So that I go down there a lot, and that's just an insane place to go, because I don't know if you guys ever been there, but when you get to Gettysburg, you know something's up, because there was so much blood spilled on that land that it'll never heal. And there are so much activity during the day. You'll see soldiers running across the field during the day instead of at night, because they didn't fight at night. Because if they fought at night, the flash from the gun or flash from the cannon would have gave away their position. So they couldn't do that. They had to do everything during the day.
Sure.
So when you go, if you ever get down there, investigate one of the daylight hours, and you will actually catch video of a soldier in a gray uniform running across a green field.
Wow.
You'll hear cannons going off and gunfire going off to this day. I had one soldier by my tent walking back and forth by the front door at like 3:30 in the morning, because I was camping 200 feet from the battlefield, and I was screaming at it, get away from my tent, you know. I don't know if it was keeping guard or what the deal was, but that was a pretty insane experience. I love all my experiences. I think every single one of them is great. Sometimes you go to a location, it's like fishing. You go to a location, you don't get nothing, you know. You got to go back a couple times to be like, yeah, I got that. I did hear that. I did capture something finally, you know.
Daniel actually caught a awesome video, and he was at a German bunker? Is that where it was?
Yeah, it was
Daniel?
in a bunker. Yeah.
Yeah. It caught this like looked like a black orb with a smoky trail behind it. And then like appears and then disappears. If you want to show a clip of that really quick.
Yeah.
Maybe you can have your opinion on what it might be. You think it might be a bug, but the bug just appears and then zips, and it has this smoky trail behind it, and then it disappears. It's pretty impressive.
Oh,
I would love to see it.
I don't have it anymore on here.
Oh, you don't have it? Oh, well, never
Maybe
mind.
I can send it to
you. Well,
you.
if you find it, definitely send it to me.
Yeah.
We have a couple POW World War II camps deep in the woods in the mountains here. That I didn't even know Pennsylvania even had POW World War II camps.
No,
but they do. So I can't wait to get in there. And if you're saying that they've caught some German soldier maybe in a bunker, oh my God, I can't wait to get in there now, you know.
So
but I would definitely love to hear it.
We talked about EVPs before, but why is it so hard to have a real communication with the spirits? It's only a few words now and then, and
I think that, and this is just my opinion on that, I think that time moves differently in the afterlife. I really do. I think that it is much more sped up than we realize, because of the EVPs that I've captured feel like they're on like a fast forward speed. It's like, blah, 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 you know what I mean? And you can't understand what they're saying to you unless you slow down the audio, and then you can understand what they're saying to you. I also believe that there might be, I wouldn't say call it a wormhole or a black hole, but I think there's like a window of opportunity every once in a while that comes through. So say for instance, we're in a location and it's on July 24th at 7 p.m., 2000, whatever, right? Well, whatever family was living there on July 24th at 7 p.m. and something happened, and it was strong enough to leave a mark, to punch a hole into this world, you know, the scream or something traumatic that'll continuously continue on, whether we're there or not. So I think that every once in a while we get a window of opportunity, or like just a pathway for them to come through and to quickly say what they have to say. And I found out that a lot of spirits like to interject with conversation. Like if you and I are talking, and you set a recorder to a side, and you leave it alone, and you come back to it, and you're just talking, you and your buddy, and you pick up your recorder and you listen. And even though you're not talking about anything in particular, you'll have a spirit trying to interject with your conversation, saying, yeah, man, that's cool. I can dig it. I did that. You know, they interject with you. So I don't know if they can actually hear us or see us, or if they're remembering something that happened on them July 27th at 7 p.m. that was something cool that they familiarize with, you know what I mean? Or something traumatic that they familiarize with, that they can come through. Say, for instance, I passed away and somebody else was in this house doing a podcast about paranormal, and I'm talking to you, or they're talking to you, like, you know, like having a regular conversation. And I'm standing there like, yeah, I had that same conversation. And all of a sudden you guys pick that up. It could be about the podcast. It could be about something else. Do you know what I mean? But they want to interact. They just don't know how.
And you think they might be on the same time loop? It's just the same like hobbies they seem to have, or, you know, just kind of same routines or schedules. Or you think that the afterlife is kind of a choice to kind of wander Earth, or maybe go on to something else?
I think the afterlife consists of people that have a lot of unfinished business. You know, and I've done a lot of audio to know this is true. I've captured people with voices of despair, you know, like, why are you leaving? Why are you going on the ship to sail back to England? You know what I mean? Like despair. And I don't know if they're still there because it's unfinished, and that people never came back and they never got to settle what they needed to settle or say what they needed to say. Or maybe their children have died in that house and they don't want to leave because their children have died in that house.
Right.
You know, there's always a reason, and no one's ever going to really know. No one is ever going to really know the reason why these spirits stay earthbound and don't move on to a different place. You know, until we go ourselves.
Right. Because I kind of question that, because my dad had an experience when he was a kid with his cousin. They're at the house while their grandfather was in the hospital, and they get a phone call from the hospital from their parents saying that grandpa passed away. And shortly after that phone call, him and his cousin heard in the basement where his workshop was, like the sawing and the drilling and all this stuff, like, and the kids were just wigging the fuck out. Where they even called their parents back, like, we're fucking here, grandpa in the basement, fucking working up a storm before maybe he left for the afterlife, or something, like, again, something he wasn't finished with, or something like that. But the fact that it was very, it was very real to them. It was kind of funny to hear.
I also truly believe that when you die, you go back to the age or the time in your life where you were your happiest.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of times I have captured ghostly apparitions on film, and they're in their 20s or they're in their 30s. You know what I mean? But they died in their 80s. So
sure.
It makes me think that that people, when they pass away, they go back to the time in their life where they're their happiest, wherever that might be. In a house where they're working in the basement with woodworking, or in a house that they don't live in anymore, but somebody else does. Wherever they were, you know, that's where they're going to go. Because why would, and then the ones that don't, the ones that stay on and they want to live on that despair and just, you know, go with it. It's like, I think that they were just unhappy in life. So now they're unhappy in death, and it's 10 times as worse because there's nothing that they can do about it. So now that they go on, just going on, you know, because they can't fix it. So I always tell people, if you got any unfinished business, finish it. You got anything you want to say to people, say it, whether they want to hear it or not, because that way your conscience is clear. And if you die tomorrow, you don't need to stay here. You know, you don't need to stay.
Do you believe in reincarnation?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do. I
Yeah.
say that funnily because I swear to God, I think I was a madam in a Western bar somewhere out in Arizona in the 1800s. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
sure,
think I was a house mother, or I rode with Billy the Kid, or some crazy crap like that, because of
Yeah.
my fascination with the Old West.
Mhm.
And I think, and I do believe that with other people. Whatever you're fascinated by, whatever you really like, you probably liked it in a past life, whether it's food, a location, a place, a person. You know, that's, I mean, I love old houses in New England because of the way they look, right?
Mhm.
So I did a 23 DNA testing thing to see where my ancestors came from. And they came from United Kingdom, Scotland, Ireland, out that way. And then Australia, or not Australia, Austria, you know, and they lived in France for a while. And that made a lot of sense because I like whiskey, Irish whiskey. I like vinegar stuff, you know. I love the mountains and the ocean. Well, that makes sense because, you know, my family is also Greek, and, you know, they live by the mountains and by the ocean, you know. So I do believe in that. I really, really do. Do you guys believe in reincarnation?
Yeah. Yeah, to an extent. I found some interesting stories. There's like a girl in India, I think this is back in the 80s, where she was, I don't know, four or five, started talking about her past life, a village probably 20 miles away, and she named off all the family members that she was with, even her husband, and her family was so intrigued that they took her to this village and met this family, and she starts pointing out and talking about who was what, and this is my husband, and actually the family actually took her in as a family member, you know, to come visit whenever. So that's an interesting story of reincarnation I ever heard. And they're pretty.
I have heard of children like that. I've heard of children that would go and say, hey, you know, I remember this person, I remember the name of that person, I remember this place, and the parents are looking at them like, you weren't born then, you know. So I do really believe that. I think, like I said, the closer to the grave, you know, and youth, the more that they remember that stuff. But as they get older, I bet you they forget when they get into their 20s and 30s. And then they only just get familiarized feelings of deja vu, of being somewhere or liking something, or wow, I've had this before, but I don't remember where. You know, that's what I wish. I wish that I can go back to being young, what I know now, and be like in that innocent age and that naive age, and be like, yeah, let me see what I can do now. You know, like, let me see what I can capture now.
Sure.
I don't know what to think about reincarnation. I think I would live the same life again.
Yeah. What would you do differently? Would you do anything differently?
No. I had my ups and downs, and I had bad times. I had very bad times, but so far I like my life though. So I would love to live the same life again
Without the back pain.
without the back pain. Yeah.
There you go.
There's a few things you can do without.
But guys, I think I found the video. So if you still want to
watch,
yeah,
yeah, please, yeah,
it's on the YouTube channel of a friend of mine. But we can still watch it there. Let me share the screen. Here's the bunker. This is the wall, and here's the door. And for some reason, I filmed the door. They wanted me to film the door, and from this corner somewhere, this thing appears. I'm excited to hear what you have to say about it. Let me start the video.
Okay.
So here it comes.
Yeah, see that smoky trail behind it?
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I was looking at the person standing in the corner. Go ahead. Do that again. No, because if you look at the doorway and to the left of the doorway, you see the blackness in the doorway.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if you go halfway down, where just a little bit up higher, it seems like there's a bump that extends out like an elbow or something, like down a little bit more with your arrow, down a little bit more, right in there, right in there. And as you move your video, you can see it extends out and it comes in a little bit. So that's what I was watching. I thought that's what you were talking about. But go ahead and show me the thing again.
Yeah, start from the beginning.
So and it wasn't visible.
Can you let that play in a loop?
Yeah, it's on a loop right now. He's following it with his mouse.
Right, I see that.
It's slowed down here a little bit more, I think. There it comes.
There it is.
And then there it disappears. Some said it was a bug, but I don't know. I couldn't see it with my with the blank eye, so I don't know.
Well, here's the thing about bugs, that when you do audio, or when you collect video, bugs usually are white in night vision. It's very rare that you would ever get a solid black bug in a video. Not saying it doesn't happen, but I've seen bugs on night vision and they're white. So that I have no idea what that is, because if you look at the video, it's choppy. Do you know what I mean? It's not consistent of a movement line. It like comes in and comes out, and it almost looks like
zigzags too.
Yeah. And now when you look at ghostly apparitions, full body apparitions, when they move through something, sometimes they're white, sometimes they're transparent, but most of the time there's a black little kind of shadow that kind of, you'll see a little bit of a black shadow of their hand or their side of their face or their hairline or something to that effect, like a shimmer of it. And I think that's what that was. I think that was definitely a spirit apparition. It could have been painting the inside of the bunker, because it looks like it was painted. So it could have been somebody who worked in there. It could have been electrician hanging wires back in the day, because it doesn't look like they had any lights in there. So they probably hung wires in there with a light bulb attached to it, like they do in the old coal mines.
Yeah.
That could have been another way, but that is definitely no bug. I don't know what it is, but I can definitely tell you that it's no bug.
Okay.
Because if you look at bugs on video, they're white and night vision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know, but I found it quite interesting. I have 3 more short stories if you want to hear them.
Oh, absolutely.
Let me start with this one. One day I was sitting here on my desk, and I told this story so many times before. Guys, I'm sorry. And I was sitting on my desk here, and I went to the kitchen. I finished podcast work, and I went to the kitchen and to get a glass of water. And I exit the kitchen and wanted to go upstairs to my bedroom. But in the hallway, I heard a sound. I heard a strange sound, like from an animal or something, like a dog grunting or something. It was very strange. And it was dark, and it didn't turn on the light, which is strange. So I didn't turn on the light, and I looked along the hallway, and I heard this grunting noise, like not very loud, but it was there. And I was a little bit scared, but just a little bit. And then I saw this shadow standing at the end of the hallway. There was not standing. There was a shadow. There was a strange shadow that I've never noticed before. It was strange, and it appeared to be human-like, but it didn't look human-like. Do you know what I mean? I just had the feeling that it was a person standing there, and it was this shadow, and it had no eyes and no mouth and no ears and no arms and no legs and nothing, but it was just a shadow that I never noticed before. And I had the feeling it was staring at me. I was scared a little bit more, and I went upstairs and went to the bedroom. My wife was asleep. She was laying in bed, and the dog was laying in the bed. And I laid down in my bed, and when I laid down on my back, I had the feeling that I woke up. Just the moment my back touched the bed, I woke up. That was the feeling that I had. And I laid in my bed for like 10 minutes or so, thinking about, did this really happen? Or was this a dream? Because it felt so damn real. And then I came to the conclusion that I was in bed already for an hour and fell asleep earlier. So that was very strange and felt so real, crazy.
So this was a dream you were experiencing, right? Is that what?
Yeah, it didn't feel like a dream. It was like I was, when I stood up from my desk, I had the same feeling that I have right now. You know what I mean? It was so realistic. I don't know.
That could have been a warning. I think that when we dream like that and we see things, it's a way of having a warning come across to us, like something's not right, something was there. I don't know the history of the house that you live in or what had happened there per se. Or if you even go on any investigations in the state or country, wherever that you're from. But it's very possible to bring a spirit home with you and have it attach itself to you. And when an attachment happens, they can interject into your dreams, and that's how they break you down. So if you kept having that dream of that person in your house, I would definitely say to go get your house blessed, because something is going on. Like when people get attachments of spirit activity, the spirit breaks you down, and then you become what's called an oppression state of mind. And that's when it's got its hooks in you. That's when it's really going to start working its memories into your head, your thoughts, whatever. So it kind of makes it like a derogatory feeling. And then after that, it's full on possession. And then it takes over your ass, and then you're done. And the only way to get that guy out is through an exorcism. You know, I mean, I know Latin, but I can't, I can say all the Latin prayers I want, but ask me if I believe, that's a different story.
Yeah.
You know,
I hope it's not that bad. I don't think it's that bad.
No, but you know, like I said, when you have a house, when you buy a house, you want to know what happened there. You know, and 9 times out of 10, realtors don't tell you all the ins and outs that goes on in a house and who lived there and whatnot, and with the tragedies that family before you experienced. Excuse me. Now, I've had families call me up on the phone and say, hey, can you help me out? I got something going on. I got this tall man dressed all in black with a tall hat in my house. Okay, so I did some investigation work, found out that the factory across the street used to have caskets in there. And their house was a funeral parlor with a funeral director that lived there, and he would get the caskets from across the street at the warehouse. And I said, he's going to be there no matter what, because he has been there since the 1800s. He's not going nowhere. You know, that's his place. Sorry, you're going to have to get used to that. But the thing is that when you look into the history of your home, you should go and find what's called the Sanborn maps, or the Sanborn maps. And usually the fire company would have them, City Hall would have them, and it shows every structure that has ever been built on your property since the 1800s, whether it be a barn, a shed, a house, anything. Or near your property. And it'll start to tell you by the United States Census who lived there. And then it's just piecing it together from the time of the property and the time of the recordings of who lived there. Then you got to work yourself backwards to this time, this day and age. And you got to find out what tragedies happened in each family and the names of the people that it happened to, and then that's pretty much how you figure out how your haunting is going.
Okay, interesting. I think a lot of stuff happened to this house since I think it was built in 1860 something, so it's a very old house. So I'm guessing many things happened here. A lot of people died here, probably. So
Well, during the 1800s, they had really no way of fighting off infection or
Yeah.
colds or anything like that. So when tuberculosis or the Spanish influenza hit, it really just 86 to everybody, because they had no immune system really to build up. The immune system was built up over time and generations and years, you know what I mean? For us to have that. But because we didn't, a lot of people had passed away. And I find that a lot of homes that were built back then still have the spirits that died there are still there. They're not going nowhere.
Yeah.
You cannot move them on. That's their land. That is their house. That's their blood, sweat, and tears. Some people are like, well, I'm not going to live here. Then I'm going to have my house exercised or something. You could do everything all you want to. Do it all you want to, but I can guarantee you that it's not going to move whatever is in there out of their house.
So I think I'm living here for 12 years already, and I think we get along pretty good together. I will take it as it is now.
That's how you do it, though. You just get used to each other, like roommates.
Yeah.
You can't evict them. They can't evict you. So you're just going to have to get used to one another.
Right.
And I don't know if you've ever done any investigating in your house, or maybe you just don't want to know what is in there.
In fact, I did. I had some.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I had two friends of mine are in ghost hunter teams or do their own ghost hunting stuff. I'm not really into it, and I agreed to have a paranormal investigation at our house 2 times. They did their stuff. I don't know what they did with their equipment, but I don't think they catched anything interesting. I don't know.
They never told you?
They had some EVPs, and they had some. One said, "Yeah, I saw something moving, or I saw a shadow, or so this and that," but I don't know what to think about it, to be honest. I don't know.
I think that once the spirits realize that that they're there and you can talk to them and they can talk to you, all bets are off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? As far as them ever leaving you alone again. Because once they realize that they got your number, they really got your number. And that's why I won't investigate my own house. I don't want to know. I don't care to know. You know what I mean? It doesn't bother me. I feel like I've got little gremlins living around here that steal things where I'm looking for them, like my keys or, my pens or whatever I might need. I'm like, where the hell is it? I know I left it here.
Beetlejuice,
right? Give me back my shit.
I have another story. And this happened earlier. Actually, there's 2 stories. The one is I also got up from the desk when I had my podcast done and went to the bathroom to wash my hands, and I turned the key around. I closed the door completely because kids, it was late. They were asleep, but this is what I do when you have kids. You lock yourself up in the bathroom. And I think it was 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning. It was very, very late. And I saw that the door handle went down, and we have these old doors, these original doors from this old house here, original doors. And if you pull them down and let them go, they snap upwards again. So this handle went down, like pretty slow, and up also pretty slow. So I was thinking I think it wasn't a cat. It wasn't a cat. and I opened the door, put my head outside, and there was nobody. I went to my daughter's bedroom, and she was sound asleep. And I went to my stepson's bedroom, and he was also asleep. And went to the master bedroom. My woman also was asleep, was snoring, and nobody. And I was thinking, that was strange. It wasn't a cat, because the door handle would snap upwards, like really loud. And I thought maybe I'm just tired. Maybe it was just my imagination, but it also felt very real. I don't know if somebody tried to follow me into the bathroom. And then another thing was when I went to the kitchen and opened the kitchen door, on the sink there was this little knife. It was like a knife laying on the sink, and it's made from metal. And when I opened the door and approached the sink, I was like, I don't know, 3 meters away from the sink. I saw this knife turning like a compass needle, like, yeah, like 4 or 5 centimeters. It was turning like a compass needle and then stopped.
Mhm.
And I thought maybe, okay, maybe a mouse or something on the sink. I don't know, but the windows were closed, no mouse, no nothing. And I said, okay, again, that's strange. I don't know. I don't know.
If you can get that on a video, that would be
It would be awesome.
to see that. Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I would be really interested in seeing that stuff. I've seen videos of paranormal activity where people would be standing there, and all of a sudden all the cabinet doors in the kitchen would fly open and all the drawers would come flying out and all at one time. I don't know if you've ever seen anything like that on YouTube.
I've seen, yeah.
But I'm like, no way. Like I was like, no way could that happen. I have been into some really gnarly investigations where, I've been like attacked, but I've never seen a poltergeist activity that would do that. Like I have I've heard of poltergeist activity. I've never seen it. I would love to experience poltergeist activity. Sure. I really would. There's a house in a town down from me in Pittston, Pennsylvania, where a family used to live. They were called the Smurls. Now, back in the 80s, the Smurl family claimed that they had poltergeist activity going on. And the church would not believe them. They had nobody to help them. So they went to the media and told the media that their house is haunted. They got stuff flying around. So they had a news reporter come out and, do a story on them. And as she's sitting there doing the story on them, all this stuff started happening in their house. So they go running out of the house, and now there's lots of people gathering around the outside of the house watching it because of the poltergeist activity going on inside of it. So they run out of the house, and they turn around, they're looking back at the house now, and they're seeing shadow figures walking across the like the windows, and things being moved or thrown. Like you could literally hear a desk being dragged across the floor. And they've over the years they moved out, they left. Nothing was ever done, but there's another family that lives there now, and I haven't heard of any paranormal activity coming from there, or they just, they're an older family and they just don't realize what's going on. But if there was that much, poltergeist activity back then, I don't understand why it's asleep now. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, right. Wake up so I can go over there and go check it out. I would love to see a can go flinging across the room.
Yeah. One of my favorite movies is Poltergeist, the first one. It is, and the second one is good. But that is such. I think they did their homework on paranormal, like, and the psychics and everything was just so right, and that parallel universe almost that they can just punch their way through. And enough to grab that girl,
I mean, when
so awesome.
Watching that movie, if you notice that there is a lot of bad things that happened while that movie was filmed.
Right, there was a bunch of fires, and that girl got a rare disease, and then even that Native American actor died shortly after making the second one.
The older sister that played in the first one was murdered by her boyfriend.
Yeah.
The Carol Ann, the little blonde girl, died on the operating table because her appendix ruptured.
Because it was a rare disease that she had, right?
Yeah. Yep. Right. And there was just a bunch of other things that went wrong.
I think there's a few fires on set and other weird mishaps. But again, like fucking with the paranormal, they were really the paranormal was fucking with them on set, and this weird curse came upon. But no, again, the movie is just so impactful, emotionally too. Like I feel for the mother, and I love that little psychic that comes in there. You know, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, she's cute. So let me
Yeah.
ask you guys a question real quick. Where are you from?
Sure. Me,
Hmm.
Madison, Wisconsin.
Okay, and
Hmm.
your partner?
I am from Bavaria in Germany.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah,
So,
And Wisconsin is known for having tons of haunted houses and spots all over the place. I think
oh
there's a few books
really?
written. Yeah. Well, again, I'm not really into the paranormal myself. Me and Daniel more about the UFO, ET phenomenon, but we dabble into this stuff because we're very curious and it's a great subject to talk about.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I love UFO talk too. When I was out in Phoenix, Arizona in the 90s, it was the most strangest thing I ever seen in my life, and I'll never forget it to this day. It was at nighttime, and you're driving down the road, and all these cars are starting to pull over alongside the road, and everybody's looking up, and you don't understand why that is. And then you look up, and you see all these lights, and you're like, "Huh, okay, maybe the Air Force Base is doing night maneuvers." But then when they start to circle into a form of an oval shape, and it's the size of 10 football fields
mm,
above you, and you
mhm.
can look that up on YouTube. That's Look up the Phoenix Lights, the UFO
Yeah.
Phoenix Lights,
Oh
and they'll
yeah.
show you the video of that.
So
And
you actually got to see the Phoenix lights.
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I was blown away, and I'm thinking, what the hell is that? You know what I mean? Because mass panic obviously sets in
Yeah.
when you see something out of this world. So I always thought maybe there's a reason why UFOs like to come out to the West and to the Western states more so than the Eastern states. And I think there's metal shavings in the desert in Arizona. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen those games for kids where you take a little pen like this and you can actually draw with these metal shavings, a plastic
Oh
man
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
something.
Yeah, yeah.
So those metal shavings are scattered across the desert in Arizona. And if you took a magnet and ran it across the dirt, you would pick it all up.
Oh
And
yeah.
I don't know where
Okay.
it comes from. I don't know how it got there, but I think that's what brings them to the desert. I mean, if you look at Skywalker Ranch,
Hmm.
I don't know if you guys ever heard of Skywalker Ranch,
Oh yeah.
but it's Skywalker or Sleepwalker Ranch, one of the two.
It's
I
Skin
can't
skin
remember.
Skinwalker.
Skinwalker Ranch. That's it. I knew it was one of them. I've never been there, but I've always wanted to go. Like I've heard people talking about this place, and they say it's more UFO
Hmm.
than paranormal.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, Area 51, Roswell is right there.
Hmm.
Area 51 is right there. There's a reason why they built these places out in the desert.
yes.
Hmm.
And I think it's because of the metal that's in the ground that attracts the UFOs to that area. Now I have seen UFO sightings and I've read about them in Alaska. We've had UFO sightings that we've seen here in Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
But I don't know what the draw would be to this part of the United States.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Pennsylvania's got a famous UFO crash. I forgot what town it's called. It's
Oh,
the
really?
southern part. Starts with a K, the town. But anyways,
There's
there's
Kunkelstown. Is it
yeah, it could be
Kunkelstown?
it. It might be. I should know this. That's another thing about the UFO shit. It's just so much shit to memorize and dates and
Yep.
times and where it was and shit. But this is southern west Pennsylvania. Anyways, there was a UFO crash and the UFO looked like an acorn and it actually had like hieroglyphics on it and shit. And there was witnesses, like I think 10 witnesses actually got to the crash site until the military took it away. And there's actually one surviving photograph that you can find um on Google of this UFO, or it just looks like a giant acorn with a bunch of symbols around the side of it. But yeah, the military took it away, and you don't hear anything about it ever since. This is back
I
in
think
the
the military, yeah, I think the
80s.
military does stuff like that because they don't
Mhm.
want to create a mass panic.
Yeah, right,
They don't want people shooting up at the sky.
right.
Yes.
And they even think it was they're relating it to the German bell, like the the famous flying saucer that the Germans re-engineered that looked like a bell because it kind of looked like a bell shape with this acorn looking shape. They thought
Oh,
there was
wow.
some kind of connection with this thing with this some German, I don't know, interesting shit.
It is. It really is. I mean, you got to understand there's life out there. There is. We are not
Oh
the
yeah.
only living life source
Oh my
on
God.
this
Yeah.
universe. No way. No
No.
way. We
They've been
just
here
don't
for
have the
thousands
knowledge
and
yet.
thousands of years.
Yes, we just do not have
And
the knowledge yet to really go out there and live amongst other planets
yeah.
and survive for very long. So, maybe in 100 years from now, who knows? We'll be all dead and gone, but the next people that will be there will probably be on other planets because there's
Yeah.
too many of us on this one. You know what I mean? We're overpopulating this planet.
Yeah.
So, but
No,
I've read that Elon Musk paid like, I don't know if it was $5 million to go to another planet, and there's other people that have paid the $1 million ticket part
sure.
to get
Yeah.
on a spaceship and go live on Mars for a year.
Yeah.
I would so do that.
Yeah. No, the fact that we can actually go to a place like Mars and terraform it enough to we can have breathable air and have water because there's water in certain spots of Mars. And yeah, just to have a colony of people thrive somewhere else. So again, it's not far-fetched for the ancient astronaut theory, that we
Mm-mm.
maybe are ourselves are refugees of an ancient alien race that, crash landed here millions of years ago and had to start from scratch again, with rocks and sticks and shit.
Yeah, because we
Yeah,
lost
it's
all of
just
our knowledge.
exactly. And wars broke out between each other and um yeah, and then the interesting stories of the all these holy books around the world, they'll saying the same stories, and the technology they describe in some of these stories is it blows your mind.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I really do believe, and maybe I just watch too much television, but I really do believe that since we have not really explored all the depths of the ocean and
Yeah.
how deep it really
Yeah.
goes,
My
I'm
God. Yeah.
telling you, something is down there that
Fuck
is
yeah.
not of this world, and
Oh
they
yeah.
are just biding their time and waiting, and that's all they're doing. And I'm not lying. I'm not kidding. We've only explored like what 10% of the ocean
10%.
population.
Yeah, a
So
little bit less than 10. And again, we know so much more about space that kind of trips you out, right? It's just kind of
yeah,
like,
if
well,
you've ever scuba
duh.
dived, though, scuba dive is a lot like being in space. I've never
Oh,
been in
sure.
space, but I've scuba dived, and it's the same kind of feeling, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
That's what they compare it to,
Yeah.
like being
Yeah.
in space, because you feel the pressure of the waters that surrounds you, just like the pressure of no gravity or something would be up in space. That'd be fun. I would definitely get on the spaceship and go for a ride. I mean, I living in Florida, you have NASA down there, and you get to see all the spaceships that went up and come back down, and it's just so much fun. And if you go there, they have I want to say it's like a cylinder, but I mean it's huge. It's a huge container, and you get in there, and they take all the gravity out of the thing, and you float up.
Oh, whoa.
And this is
That's
how they
cool.
train the astronauts how to deal with no gravity in space.
Sure, sure. Oh,
But
that's cool.
yeah, I would definitely love to do that. You get the simulation of flying in midair,
Yeah.
and then they slowly bring the gravity back down, and then you slowly like just.
I don't know. I like it here.
You like it?
Yeah, right.
So in Germany, have you seen any UFOs?
Yes, in fact, I had a UFO sighting myself when I was 16. It was 1996. And me and two of my friends, we saw a triangle-shaped UFO with a light in the middle. Yeah, and it was zigzagging above us. Yeah, it's very intense, crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I had my own personal sighting too of a giant boomerang size of a bus with 5 dim lights underneath it near my house. And yeah, that's where my start of digging deep into the subject and making a name for myself in the UFO community. So yeah.
I have a friend of mine who's really big into UFOs. He used to be into the paranormal, but he kind of went toward the UFO. His name is Ben Hansen.
Okay.
Ben he's all about UFO stuff, and he actually has been on Skinwalker Ranch. a
Oh,
couple of
cool.
times. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him, but
If
he
you
will
can,
definitely come on to your
if
podcast. He's a good guy.
would you? Oh, maybe that'd be really cool. We haven't any actually.
Yeah,
We
I'll
haven't
send you
had
his
any.
name.
Yeah, please do, and then maybe an email or
Yeah, he
something I
used to
can.
be. Yeah, he used to be on a television show in the early like 2010, 2011, where
Cool.
it was like I don't want to say like a Ripley's Believe It or Not, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Where did
Hmm.
this really happen? Did this not happen? You know,
Right.
like did I really experiencing this, or is this all made up? You know
Right.
what I mean? So he had a team that went out there to debunk stuff or to bring it back or show if this is real. And
Oh,
he
cool.
was always
Cool.
really big into the UFO stuff, and then he
Okay.
just went on from there.
Yeah, we haven't interviewed anybody that went to Skinwalker Ranch yet, so that'd be really cool.
Oh, that place is insane. I was going to send it to you
Mhm.
now. Ben Hansen.
Yeah.
Ben Hansen. Yeah, please do send me his name. And then yeah, that'd be really cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, maybe
He's awesome.
we might have to wrap it up here because I got to get going here soon.
Yo,
But
so do
is there
I.
anything else that you want to tell us about, or any links that people
Yeah,
can
sure.
find you at?
If you guys want to check out any of my stories, you can check me out. I'm all over the Travel Channel on all the different paranormal shows like Paranormal Night Shift, Emergency 911, a bunch of just Google my name. You'll they'll all
Okay,
come up. And
cool.
yeah, so I'm also in the movie Ghostbusters 3. So if you want to check that out, go watch
Really?
that.
Interesting.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So go have fun with that, and definitely keep in touch with me. I want to hear about more of your experiences with UFOs.
Yeah.
I would
Okay.
love to have an experience with the UFO so I can write about it and have you guys say, "Oh wow, Ryleigh, what the hell did you come across?"
Maybe
Yes.
one day you're lucky enough.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that would be cool. I'd come out there, I would, and I'd be looking the skies like, all right, let's go.
Oh, cool.
But thank you
Well,
very much for having me on. It
yeah.
was a lot. I was enjoying
Yeah.
talking to both of you.
No, that was a fun talk. Thank you.
You're welcome, and I'll see you guys soon.
Stay with us for 2 more minutes.
Okay.